Okay, so how's it going? I decided to go ahead and do this little story here because people keep asking me and telling me I should record it, so I'm going to do it. This was a few years ago, but anyway, I've caught a couple of posers, Marine Corps posers. Uh, One guy tried to say that I was not a Marine after I spent 22 years in, and I have a DD 214, a retirement card, a VA card, and everything. And this guy could not tell me when the Marine Corps birthday was, and he tried to say some sort of poem. And when he said this poem, I'm looking at him because it had nothing to do with the Marine Corps at all. And this doesn't have anything to do with this story anyway. But it was kind of funny. I'm looking at him going, this guy's just nuts. And he says, well, if you don't know that, you're not a Marine. And I'm looking at him going, what? Anyway, then I had another guy who actually, there was a picture of me in my dress blues, and he actually copied the photo, and he took my head off the dress blues and put his head on it with Photoshop. And I might add, he didn't do even a good job at that. So, but that was the second one I caught. The third one I caught, here's the story. This is the Texaco. I could not get get into my son's room to find his cars. He's got a whole bunch of cars. Okay, these two are cars. This is the Texaco store, and this is the gas pumps. And this car was there filling up with gas. This is just a simulation so you can see. He was filling up with gas, and here I come. I come driving in, I pull up, I park here. Well, by this time, this guy and this guy who knew each other were standing here in front of the store. And so I get out of my car and I'm starting to go into the store, and the guy says, "Did you just get out of that Blazer with the Marine Corps emblem on the back and the disabled veteran plates?" And for a second, I had to look at my car to make sure I was not imagining this. And yes, I did. I says, "Yes, I did." And he sticks his hand out and he says, "Semper Fi, brother." And I shook his hand and I said, "Semper Fi." And I walked on in, and I got in the store, and the girl, I won't mention her name, who's back there, she's known me for years. She was standing behind the counter, and it's kind of funny because one time I walked in there and there was a guy behind the counter on her, and it looked like they were arguing. I was fixing to get into a fight, and she says, "No, don't get into a fight with him, Don. He's a good friend of ours. He just won $800, and I'm messing with him and not giving him the ticket." And so anyway, but back to this story. So I walk into the store, and these two guys walk in, and they're standing there, and one of them goes over to get beer, and I used to smoke back then, and I was buying cigarettes, and anyway, the guy who was in the pink car here, I just made it pink. He deserved to be pink anyway. He's standing there and he says, he says, "I was injured during the Crucible," which is the test they have now uh, in the Marine Corps. And it's the final test. And because you're never called a Marine throughout all of boot camp until you graduate, and then you are called Marine. Anyway, this guy says he was injured in the Crucible, and I says, "Well, did you do boot camp over again?" He says, "No." And he says, "But I still go to the doctor." I says, "Oh, you go to the VA out here?" "No, I don't go to the VA because I was so top secret," and he said this to me, "I was so top secret that I have to go to a special doctor." And I'm sitting there looking at this guy and going, he is FOS, which means full of you know what. Because I was in a top secret unit, and it was top secret for years. and it's not anymore, but still, I go to the VA. Everybody knows, you know, there's a record of you somewhere. You're never so top secret that there's no record. You know, when you hear that, you know the guy's full of it. And so he says, yeah, out of high school, he says, uh, I was guaranteed either fighter pilot or sniper, but I chose sniper. And I'm looking at him like, yeah, right. And his friend comes up and sets a case of beer up there. And the guy in the pink car starts reaching for his wallet, and his friend says, no, I got this. You've been through enough with all the wars you've been in and everything. And I looked at him, I says, you know what? I says, your friend is a liar and a fake. And this guy in the pink car, he looks at me and he says, what are you talking about? And I says, if you didn't graduate Marine Corps boot camp, you were not a Marine. And number two, to become a fighter pilot, you have to have a college degree. And I says, and you just stated that you were given the options when you graduated high school. And I says, and number two, I says, to become a sniper, you don't. It's not like a recruiter can guarantee you sniper. That recruiter would be fired because you have to prove yourself on a rifle range. And I says, so you're a liar. You're a poser. And since you were trying to take money from this other guy um, for the beer, I says, that is called stolen valor. And this guy storms out of the store and goes out and he gets in his car. He's got his steering wheel and he's shaking his car like this really fast. He's pissed off now because he was just outed. And then he takes off. And his friend was standing there and says, he says, thank you. He says, because I knew something wasn't right about the stories he was telling. You know, he says, it just didn't seem right. And I looked at his friend. I says, do you need a ride? And he says, no, I got my car out there, but thank you anyway. And he says, it looks like I'll be drinking this beer all by myself because I'm not going to offer him any. And of course, he didn't ask me if I wanted any either. But, you know, he gets in his car and he backs up and he takes off. And the girl in the store who's known me for years, she says, you handled that good. She says, I thought you were fixing to punch the guy. She says, I could tell by watching you that something wasn't right and you were about to go off. She said, I says, how could you tell that? She says, your temples were throbbing. And I was like, huh. And see, there was another guy that came in there one time. But anyway, that's the end of that story. There was another guy that came into the same store one time. And I used to always get my gas there. And anyway, he noticed my car and he walks in and he made a bet with his wife. She had to give him something. I don't know what it was, but I guess you can kind of guess or something. I don't know. That if he can pick out the Marine in that store, then she would give him whatever the bet was for. And the store was pretty full at the time. And he goes walking through here and walks up to me, and I walk with a cane. And he walks up and he says, Semper Fi. I shook his hand and said, Semper Fi. He goes, see, honey, I told you I could tell a Marine amongst all these people. We can just tell each other. There's just something about it. And he goes, looks like you lost the bet. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And y'all have a wonderful day. And I hope you had some fun listening to this story. We don't like posers, you know, so have a great one.